from our city centre studios is Chris Kirubi from Mkenya Daima. Thank you very much for joining us here on Kivumbi 2017. We've seen Mkenya Daima initiative being very active throughout this whole electoral process. But after the election, is the work of Mkenya Daima over? What are you working on currently?
We're working on trying to get the temperatures cooled down, bringing the competitors together to realize that after all, they have a country to run and to live in, and therefore we want to make sure that Kenya goes back to normalcy and business continues as usual, so that we can continue to create more jobs and we remove damaging this nation of ours.
How are you going about this then?
We're holding meetings like now. Thank you very much for having us aboard yesterday and today. And we are talking to our population out there to make sure that politics is not the beginning and the end to everything. I think creating an economy that works for Kenyans, creating more jobs, seeing this as an opportunity to make sure that Kenya becomes a destination of attractive investors to come in so that they can invest their money in this country, tourists coming into this country. We need to send out the information out there that we are safe, and we are welcoming visitors, we welcome investors, so that this country does not have to be abandoned by those who want to come and invest in here, including our own people themselves.
But really, we know this burden, most of it lies on the shoulders of the political class to cool the temperatures in the country. You as a business community and as Mkenya Daima in totality engaging the political class in the country as you work through cooling the temperatures around.
I think this is where we are wrong. We have abandoned the country to the politicians. We feel that we are the investors. We are the people who put our money, hard-earned money, into growing this economy. Politicians, they create laws when they're in parliament. They do give the guidance, they create security systems, but really the investor in this country, anybody wanting to come to Kenya to invest, he first looks at the local people. Are they investing in their own country? If they have confidence in their country, are they investing there? The status in some of these counties where we have the flare-up, where there's a lot of upheavals every 5 years, you will find people shy to go and invest in some of these locations. So it is important, it's imperative for every governor to make sure that their county is the most peaceful. It is the one that welcomes people. It is the one that partners with investors so that their own population there don't have to go hungry, don't have to lack jobs. And believe you me, this country can move to grow at 10%. But because of all these every 5 years creating an upheaval, we are lagging behind the neighboring countries. And soon, if we are not careful, our neighbors will overtake us.
Are you concerned about this being a vicious cycle every 5 years when Kenyans go to the polls?
I am more than concerned because the competition in Kenya, the politics looks like a matter of life and death. When it is not, it's a competition. When two teams are on the field playing a game of football, they play a game of match, they finish the match, they all go to the same bar and have a drink and they shake hands and they wait for the next time that they can play another game. Our politics seems so divisive. We try to divide the Kenyans. The core Kenyan has no tribal element. But during elections, our people are made to believe the next guy who is not in their party is an enemy. And this should not continue. And I hope this is the last time we will see this kind of situation. I personally believe the Luos in Nyanza, the Kisis, these are brothers, these are consumers. We need them. We need the economies. We need to be partners. You know, China is a huge country with millions and millions of people, in billions. But you don't see tribes. You don't see ethnicity. You don't see struggles. Why? Then China is one country. You look at it globally as one nation. So I do believe that our politicians who've been competing, although the whole thing is not over yet, they will give us a break. They will allow us to allow the winner to receive the mandate to rule the next 5 years, and those who lose, to lose gracefully and to join hands. Doesn't mean that you lose an election, you are out of being unavailable or being some outsider from the country. We need to bring them on board. We need to create room for the losers to be part of us. And that way we then reduce the impact of losing an election. I think if we do that, we can create a very great, vibrant nation that comes an election, we just go and elect our leaders one day, then we go back to work. But when we start impacting on the job market, like now, 1 week before the elections, people hardly went to work. After elections, you are told don't go to work, you wait. How long can a poor man who receives a salary on a daily basis from what he does can survive? Who is supporting that man? Who is giving them food? Who is taking them to hospitals? Who is giving their kids money to go to school? This, to me, is a sacrifice that people don't have to make because Kenya is for all of us. And I think the government has made the sound, is an inclusive government. We need everybody on board. President Kenyatta made a very patriotic speech the night he received his certificate. And I think we need to continue with that spirit and truly make sure that everybody is involved in being part of this country and being part of their government.
NASA is expected to announce its way forward today, and a number of Kenyans are waiting with bated breath on the kind of pronouncement that will come up. As a business community, are you jittery about this?
No, I'm not, because the options are very limited. If you look at NASA brigade locations where they come from, most of the people out there have said they want to work, they want to move on. Elections are over. The governors are saying, don't destroy my county. I want to rule. I want to add value to my people. And you saw last night some Kamba leaders saying, we don't want to be left outside by the government. And I think this is a good spirit. I personally think they're entitled to come out with expressing their disappointment and maybe giving us ideas about the future so that we reduce and fall back to these kind of struggles. What we want is to make sure that our former Prime Minister ends up his term in a graceful way. We can use that man for many other things about Kenya. He is a brand. And as a brand, he's part of us. He's a value to us in Kenya. And I'm sure Mr. Odinga, it's not his vision to destroy Kenya before he parts from politics. So I personally don't think there is anything major that is coming out. It is just going to say, we are together, we allow government to run their affairs, and we like to make sure that we are not just forgotten. We are part of this nation,
so
and rightly full. So yeah. I feel that we need to find them positions they can continue to being part of us.
So does that mean that you don't think NASA has valid concerns with the whole electoral process that the country underwent a week ago?
You know, madam, there is an avenue for somebody to go to court. if they have any disputes, the only place you can test your allegations or your belief is to go to court. There is a court that's very efficiently waiting for anybody to go to them and bring out the issues. Short of that, it means you must accept that the winners can be allowed to run this nation. We cannot be held hostage by suspicion of an election stolen. You cannot steal an election when we all advocated for technology. We changed our commissioners to new commissioners. We have been involved in acquiring the ballot papers. This election cost us a fortune. And I personally thank very much Mr. Odinga for really insisting in creating a very well-managed elections and putting in place materials that could not be copied around. And we saw what happened. It was a very big struggle. They went to court many times to make sure everything was right. So if technology was right, then let us follow what comes out. And I think the commissioners are to be congratulated. They were very, very efficient. I was there for 2 days, and I saw the struggles they had, how they followed everything, counting those forms, making sure the numbers are correct. So I think the issue of saying the election was stolen, even the margin of win, is very large. Why are the governors in all those counties are not complaining that the election was stolen? Did the thieves go just to steal the presidential election?
Chris Kirubi there joining us from our City Centre studios. He's from Mkenya Daima and also representing the business community. Thank you very much for joining us here on Kivumbi 2017. And that is a conversation that we will extend to my panel that I will be having a conversation with shortly. Richard Tuta is in studio. He's a security analyst. We also have